Welcome to episode 91 of Not Just Games. I'm Joey. A year ago, in episodes 54 and 55, I talked about Dead by Daylight and the stories of the killers in the early years. I can't believe we're in episode 91 now. This time, I'll continue talking about the stories of the 5 new killers added in Dead by Daylight. The 5 new killers are Demogorgon, Ghostface, Plague, Legion, and Spirit. First, let's talk about the one with the coolest appearance, Demogorgon. It came from the 2016 American Netflix series, Stranger Things. In the 80s, America was in a Cold War against the Soviet Union. The CIA carried out a secret plan by using Hawkins National Laboratory as a cover. They paid people so that they could conduct experiments on them, trying to create some sort of superhero like Captain America to defeat the Soviet Union. Doesn't it sound ridiculous? But this was the reality. This plan was about to fail, so the doctor in charge started to greatly increase the dosage of drugs. When they realized that the female subject was pregnant, they kicked her out from the experiment and lied that she had a miscarriage. Then they continued to use the child as a test subject. Perhaps due to the earlier abuse of drugs and limitation of her genes, this child possessed powers such as telekinesis, where she killed people with her mind. The doctor was so overjoyed he named her 11 and tried to develop her abilities. Until one day, in a remote viewing experiment, 11 entered an alternate dimension and found Demogorgon. It was a creature of another dimension. It was different from other killers, as other killers were ex-humans, only it was generally born and brought up as a pure monster. It looks as if Zira's seed had mutated and was attracted to blood. The other dimension, also known as the Upside Down, it existed parallel to the human world. That world was dark, cold, and devoid of human life. 11 yelled upon seeing the Demogorgon and cracked open the gate of the Upside Down, allowing the Demogorgon to enter the human world and began killing the workers of the lab. And 11 escaped in the confusion. After the Demogorgon discovered the human world, it could create a portal anywhere in the Upside Down to enter the human world and kill the townsfolk. For the sake of balance, the Demogorgon in the game rips through the ground to activate several portals to travel through portals quickly. Survivors can seal these portals too. The Demogorgon can charge out to dive forward. This is useful for hunting enemies. When someone is in the Upside Down, a power surge will occur in the human world, and the generator will send a signal. With this game setting, the Demogorgon can use surge to blow up a generator. After the incident, everyone in the lab tried to hide it and sought to recapture 11. But the continuous disappearances of townsfolk made the people and police begin to question the existence of this mysterious laboratory. In order to rescue a child who was kidnapped by the Demogorgon, the townsfolk and police had to break into the laboratory. Helpless, the people in the lab sent them to the Upside Down. As long as they kept it a secret, they could search for the child on their own. The doctor was busy searching for 11. With her powers, 11 disposed of the agents sent to capture her, but her body was weak because she had exhausted her chakra. Meanwhile, the Demogorgon was injured while attempting to kidnap people and escape back to the Upside Down. To heal itself, it smelled the agent's blood and tried to execute a mass murder. By coincidence, it bumped into 11 who was escaping. In order to save everyone, the exhausted 11 overexerted her powers and perished together with the Demogorgon. The town regains its peace, but the gate between the two worlds was never closed. In fact, there seemed to be more monsters and Demogorgons in the Upside Down. The Spirit. The Spirit's design is what I consider as the scariest killer in Dead by Daylight. Of course, it could be the influence of Asian, especially Japanese horror film. The inspiration for the Spirit's design came from a ghost and traditional Japanese beliefs and literature, Onryo. Onryo is considered as the cradle for the nurturing of Japanese horror film, as Sadako in The Ring and Kayako in The Grudge were based on Onryo. The literal meaning of Onryo is vengeful spirit. It refers to ghosts capable of causing harm to the real world. Of course, this is only after turning into an Onryo upon its death. Why would one turn into an Onryo? This is mainly due to the cruel and wrongful killing it suffered while it was alive, causing vengeful thoughts together and form an Onryo. The iconic Sadako was also tortured when she was alive. Pushed into a well by her adoptive father, she turned into an Onryo to seek revenge. Kayako was also murdered by her husband. She formed curses to attack all who entered the house. In the game, the story of Rin Yamaoka also reveals how miserable she was. The Yamaoka family was poor. Her mother was ill and she had to spend a lot of money for her education at a private university. Her family was heavily in debt. Due to such pressure, her father had a mental breakdown and was fired. After losing their only source of income, he lost his mind. He took a katana and killed Rin and her mother. That's why her design is really scary. Finally, she died with a lot of vengeful thoughts and turned into an Onryo, promising to exact revenge. I think the idea behind Onryo is the scariest. Firstly, as a soul, it is unlike the other monsters which possess physical bodies. You can hide and try to resist against it. In theory, I have a Gatling. There are a lot of killers in Dead by Daylight who think you've run away after fixing the generator. In reality, quite a number of players have played CSOLs or Bs. Towards the end, it was mainly humans taking all sorts of cool weapons to make the infected flee ignominiously. But souls are different. Their biggest threat is that you can't defend against them, and they can overcome physical obstacles. In the game, Rin Yamaoka can enter the ethereal plane, but for the sake of balance, she can only hide herself and move faster. She can move through walls, but this is enough to entrap many survivors. Similarly, like the setting explained at the beginning of The Grudge, a person who dies with a lot of vengeful thoughts will become the Grudge. When a new person enters the house and triggers the vengeful thought, they will be killed by the Grudge, causing the house to be inhabitable and indestructible. Then the next major problem is the person who was killed must have gone through a tragic death. He will also form a new Grudge and harm other people. The Grudge will continue spreading like a virus. There's basically no cure. Maybe when the Grudge has infected a good amount of people, humankind will perish. The Plague is a Dead by Daylight original without a set prototype. Based on its background story, we know that the Plague's birth name was Adris and she is the oldest killer. She was abandoned at the temple as a child, but her mentality was strong and she believed that the gods were testing. She would attend to the gardens and the temple. When she came of age, she attended the high-ranking priests. The priests also regarded her as a capable helper, until one day, the plague arrived and those priests were infected by it. In order to maintain the situation, Adris, who was still a novice, had to step up. With the help of the plague, Adris used various relics to obtain higher status. She became the high priestess of Babylon, but the plague was also the cause of her downfall. She was also infected by the plague and her body was beginning to rot. Finally, she turned into black fumes and disappeared with a cold breeze. As one of the 4 major ancient civilizations, the disappearance of Babylon was always a mystery because it had existed almost 5,000 years ago. But what we can be sure of is that Babylon was infected by the plague. In their Epic of Gilgamesh, it stated that the plague was one of their 4 great calamities. But as a killer, I feel the game has betrayed the plague's grace and elegance. I thought she would release the plague from her incense burner, but like the woman in Left 4 Dead, she spits infectious bile and can do so while chasing someone. Those who are hit will have blurry vision, and throw up which will spread to other players. They can only clean themselves at the pool of devotion. If the pool is corrupted, the killer can drink from it, then spit the corrupt purge, directly harming the survivors. This kind of long-range attack is very powerful, and the spreading mechanism also verified the killer's specialty. I think it's one of the stronger killers. Legion. Its story is simple. The company who made Dead by Daylight created Death Garden, Blood Harvest. The scavengers in the game are all characters with masks and similar to the design of Legion. All in all, through this new killer in Dead by Daylight, they can also promote their new game, Death Garden Blood Harvest. Death Garden is considered as the shooting version of Dead by Daylight. A first-person point-of-view hunter will hunt 5 other second-person point-of-view scavengers. In the map, the scavengers will try their best to deliver resources before escaping, while the hunters will use guns to kill them. However, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone just yet. The optimization is not good and the server is about to die, so it's difficult to get in. As for the Legion's performance in Dead by Daylight, there's nothing special. After activating Feral Frenzy, they'll run fast and can even do parkour like human. It also doesn't instill fear into the survivors like other killers do, especially in this map, because he is so short, he will lose sight of his prey. The Ghostface. As compared to the other killers, its prototype is quite weak. Its prototype is based on humans wearing a black robe and a mask, running around with a knife. Its prototype came from the movie Scary Movie. I mean the Scream series. There are 4 installments of Scream and the plots are connected. The ghost faces in them are usually people who are mentally ill. Like in the first Scream, both killers were high schoolers who were mentally ill and had watched too many horror movies, hallucinating that they were filming a real horror film. They first threatened the victims, then by using a knife, they murdered them. In the next few Scream movies, their intentions, if not to exact revenge, would be for fame. Because the Ghostface is human, its powers and abilities are not very unique, and its performance in the movies was not impactful. Sometimes they would still have to piece around by human. The Ghostfaces in each movie were different, but they were all killed at the end of the movie. In the game, its abilities are quite plain unlike the other killers. Basically, it would use night shroud to stalk the survivors and then attack them with a knife. Because Scream was not a horror film, but instead a suspense thriller movie, the main attraction of the movie was to guess who the Ghostface was, and not to watch how they killed. The Ghostface's ability is so-so and the design of the mask is iconic, so even if you have never watched the movie or played the game, you must have seen this ghost mask which is similar to the Grim Reaper's. The name of the Ghostface in the game is Danny Johnson. Like the creator of Scream, its inspiration came from a famous American serial killer in the 90s named Daniel Rowling. This fella was mentally ill. Like the movies, he sneaked into apartments and murdered 5 students in the span of 4 days. He later committed 3 murder crimes. Known as the Gainesville Ripper, he was executed in 2006, which was considered as a befitting event. Thanks for watching this episode of Not Just Games. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'm Joey, and I'll see you in the next episode.